I will click record now. Boom. And I'll pull up the comments. I will click record now.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome, Todd Medina, to Authenticity on Sology Network. I love how you surprise me when we're live. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm so honored to have you on my show, and especially when you're the producer, founder of Sology Network. So it's a great honor to have you today.
It's an honor to be here on Authenticity.
Thank you. Now, there's viewers that are watching now that perhaps don't know Todd Medina the way that I've known you for, I would say, since 2017, maybe. And I seen you on Facebook, and I thought, wow, I really love his energy. I love what you were speaking and the energy that I was feeling from your shows. So I started following you, and then I had the privilege to meet you in person in 2021 at Soloy Fest, which was a beautiful gathering in Sedona. And then I got to spend some time with you in Sedona this year. And so I've gotten to know Todd from an energetic level, and then I've gotten to know Todd in the physical. So I've seen the humanness in you. And so that's what I want to come through today. Because my show is about authenticity and being authentic. So let's start a little bit with who is Todd? Todd, I know that you're a father, a son, you've been a husband, a friend, a beloved brother to so many. But who is Todd, the individual, without all these things, without all these titles and labels?
That was a big question.
I know.
Who is Todd? It's funny because I just wrote something on my phone a few minutes ago, and I left it in the room. And it was speaking to that. It was speaking to the universality of who is Todd and who is everyone else. And it's, in that moment when you feel stronger than you ever have, and you feel smaller than you ever have at the same time. It's a colossal place to be, to try to comprehend what is oneness. And then it just kind of, for me, today, it just kind of came back in to the micro, and it was like, it's all up to you, And then I think the next line was about Mother Creation's newest insight, and that's the unknown that we're stepping into, and that I find myself in again. But it's that, you could call it 0 point, or the macro and the micro, that moment where, not small in the sense like powerless, but the smallest version of the biggest thing, and the biggest thing is endless. So I find, like, for some reason, at Sology over the years, broadcasting Mondays always seem to be really powerful. And over time, doing a lot of different shows, I can feel the energy. And sometimes it doesn't matter what time you go on. Sometimes it doesn't matter, who's coming on. But there's just this convergence of energy. And I feel like it's happening on this Monday. And it's going to last longer than a day. And in some way that's related to the download I got before I came on. So I know that's a long answer to your question, but
do you want to share your download with us all?
yeah, that's what it was. It was wow, this is, there's no belief to believe in. There's no, we talked about this. I mean, my own perspective, the law of one, Sophia Christos line, Galactic Federation philosophy, or whatever you want to call these things. It's all bigger than all of this. And that's to me, I don't know, today, like the disclosure. And that at the same time, we're still walking, breathing, talking, eating. And there's something incredible happening inside of us. That awareness or whatever that I'm describing that happened today is truly within us. I call it faith. And when I first reawoke and I hit the streets, I got this, I don't know, the word faith came in, and I knew I was that word, but I didn't know that, when you look it up in the dictionary, it's a transitive verb, definition 2, and it says faith, to trust, semicolon, believe. I don't think we can describe the things that come in a download these days or everything overall, but to me, that's stuck with me.
Now, Todd, you were in the corporate world, is that correct?
Yes.
What did you do within that circle? What was your role?
Well, ultimately, it was as a senior executive, national, regional, divisional. I started out in the home improvement business, and it was bought out by a big company, one of the big boxes, in 1995. So I started a career there, and a lot of intuitiveness helped me to, my creativity to build, the best divisions, the best companies, and I guess go to the top. And so I was very much similar in a different template to where I find myself now, in a way. And that's kind of weird, being involved with Sology and being in a position to, come out of that download today and go, what do we do? But do our best to be the embodiment where two or more gather and walk the talk.
I really feel like we're doing that. I mean, you really exemplified that for many, Todd, especially the divine masculine in you. The role that you've played in the last 10 years is huge. And you've connected so many people and have brought forth so much information, and it allowed, and I can speak from myself, it allowed me to know years ago that I wasn't alone when I felt alone with some of my experiences and my knowledge that I was receiving and my awareness. But by bringing this community forth, like you have, it really, I don't have the words to say thank you. It doesn't seem like enough for what Sology has represented to many of us. And I'm sure many listening right now feel the same. I know now that I've spent enough time with you, well, as much time as one can this year, in the few months I've spent with Sology, assisting with organization and really getting to know how the network is running. One of the things that many may not realize, but you're known by many around the world. There's many people who contact you, tens, 20s, if not hundreds of people on a daily basis, who want to get to know you or have a moment with you or speak with you. And many people at this level, Todd, have assistants where they can direct that email, those calls, maybe weed out what's important, what's not important. And I know that you don't want to leave anyone behind, and you don't want to make anyone feel like they're not important. But there's no way possible in this now moment for you to be able to speak to every single person that contacts you, that wants your attention. It's not, besides the people who want to have a show on Sology. And so by having this interaction with you, I've noticed these things of how many people and all the energies that are coming at you. And I know these people, that most people realize you're also going through your own embodiment, that you're going through the process like we all are. You're receiving energy, you're receiving downloads, you have to integrate them, you have to rest. All the things that we all know that we do that come with this. And it was just really important for me to say that, for people to hear me, that you are embodying your higher self-informed, that you are your I am soul, you are your I am presence, but that comes with the daily things that we all have to deal with. In addition to Sology and the network, the producers, family, friends, etc. And I know you enough that you handle it with grace. I want to have you share how you've been able to cope with all this right now.
You're a good interviewer. You know, it's a serious time. Everything requires serious consideration. We have deeper clarity. There's a greater acuteness to our senses, our telepathy or intuition. First and foremost, I think for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been able to approach things, the things that you're describing, the things that I'm doing, without self-judgment. And so that has made it easier and easier and easier, because the less judgment we have, it seems, the further we go. And then that, you know, kind of parlays into having less judgment for other people. And just, you know, I guess that's where it's come to. And trying to figure out how to organize things in this new energy, because it doesn't work the old way. You mentioned that corporate career. I had a very successful corporate career using creativity, kind of working in a semi-structured environment, or creating my own semi-structured environment where I was allowed certain dexterity because of my abilities. The creativity part, I feel like that that part for all of us is growing, and it feels to me like where I could do everything back then, and I mean both sides of the house, because there's 2 sides of the house in the corporate world, and they would get 2 for 1 with me. I don't feel that really works anymore. I feel like that we all have roles, just like, you know, the cosmic jigsaw puzzle, and we need every one of those roles to be filled. And I see in this new energy, you know, kind of an unfamiliar but becoming more familiar way, the pieces coming together as we move forward, each one of us in that space where the micro is the macro and the macro is the micro, like my download this morning. I don't know where that came from.
Where do you see Sology next year? What are your future goals in this now moment, when you have this vision for what you're creating, this community? I know that you and I have talked personally about how you see things looking and what direction you'd like to see it go. Right now, I know that you're concentrating on the Soloy Fest in December. that is in Houston, Texas. I know that I'm looking forward to spending that time with the community. Do you want to speak about that? You know, I know that you said something about activity tents, vendors. And so I just wanted to use my platform for opportunity for you to explain that a little bit more in detail. What would people expect if they bought a ticket?
Well, you know, we've done these Sology gatherings for years. This will be the third Sology Fest. We just did a Sology gathering in my hometown, which isn't, you know, a lot of people. I think it's the 57th largest city in the country, about 350,000 people. We had about 20 people show up. We do two in Sedona, about, you know, the same 20, 30 people show up. And I always say at these things that Sology is like a box of Cracker Jacks, because you never know what you're going to get. So the first Sology Fest was in Sedona, and that was important because I was called to Sedona in 21, 22, and 23. At the same time, there's a lot of synchronicities. 21 for me was kind of like this Sology Fest at the end of this year. 21 for me was being called to kind of anchor or thread or weave the final part of that 10-year period of the Aztec or the Mayan calendar that would end that year, later that year in December. Now that one, it was, you know, Sedona's a big name town in these circles. I'd been there a few times the previous 2 or 3 years. And so there's a certain presence there. There's a lot of presence, but I mean, you know, there's some, you could say, big names, well-known people in these communities that live there. So it was kind of a blend. I knew that we had to kind of found it on the spontaneity and the participation from those who came. So I made it like 50-50 and made like a skeleton schedule. And I had some prominent people that had been out there doing the work for a long time. Franco de Nicola, JJ and Desiree Hertog, just so many others. I can't even name them all. But that's what it became. It became this blend. Clifford Mahudi was there. He crashed Sology Fest. For those of you who know Clifford, he transitioned last year. He was about 77, 78 years old. And the first day of the Sology Fest, he was walking through the grounds with like a 22-year-old girl on his arm. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "What are you doing here?" And he ended up taking the stage a couple of times. Some young kids came in that didn't even know Sology, 3-piece band. They closed out one night. The first night, at the end of the night, we had a DJ and Ty Hudnall, I believe it was. And all the sisters started dancing and anchoring in the Divine Feminine. It was a powerful, powerful moment. Last year was a different flavor, but it was very much, for people that know the story, Ty started the festival by saying, well, Todd was telling me, because I spent 6 months in Sedona with him, he's always telling me Sology is not about me. And I guess he was right, because I wasn't there and everybody pulled together, and it was an extraordinary, energetic, intimate, both of them very intimate experience that affected people as a massive activation. So that one, you know, I know was different, but the same for everyone, just like the others. I heard people talk about it for months and months and months. Now this one is a further evolution of that. You know, the theme came in as everybody is a star, and that's really what it is. That's really just another way of saying we're all equal puzzle pieces. And so as Sology evolves and as the world evolves and as we evolve, we find our true purposes and the pieces of the puzzle that we are, and we accept that we're, you know, the universe is, I'm not complete without the universe, and the universe is not complete without me. And somehow or another, that means that, you know, we're not made in the image, we are the image. And so as we head into this one, it's like 2 months to go today. And there's probably 40, and this is about the way it ran last time, about 40 people, 45 people coming. There's about almost 20 people coming from outside the country. which is pretty incredible. There are people that have been downloading, getting messages before the announcement that there would be something occurring. Some of them said Texas, some of them said on the ocean, on the Gulf. Some people are coming down to do grid work in the Gulf of Mexico, Galveston. I ran the streets here in the early days of my awakening, and did a lot of grid work. I didn't understand it at the time, but to me, it feels like something's closing out. Just like in Mulberry Mountain last year, something was being opened up. And in the year before that in Sedona, something was being pulsated and illuminated by the forces that came there. And I'm talking about the multidimensional forces of everyone that came there, that was anchored by the intimacy of the human connection, which is, the most important part. So this year, it's, I'm just going to start putting the schedule together in these next few days. We'll have 2 stages. We'll offer workshops for people who want to be workshop leaders. We'll set the schedule through the people that are coming. We have no keynotes or anything like that. It's just whoever buys the tickets, let's come. We have a children's tent, which is really cool because it's one of those things that works the way that we can all kind of understand now, which is, as soon as I announced it, I said, we're going to have a children's tent. And all of a sudden we got like 6 or 7 star children coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be amazing. So, just a little backdrop too. We have access the middle of November. So we're going to start kind of sologizing the place and creating our own little space on about 8 acres of this 30 acres inside the city of Houston, a really unique place where there's nothing else out there. A creek runs through it. It's really, really cool. And so, we're just going to build it like that. I'm about to roll some stuff out for anyone that's interested in being a vendor. You get 2 tickets. You get the tent, you get the electricity, chairs and tables, and it's 11/11. The vendors that have come in the past have done well. I wasn't privy to the Arkansas one, but I know in Sedona they did very well. They did, from a few $100s to $8,000. So, but we're not getting together for the money. It's just kind of putting out a hybrid of a hybrid of a hybrid. So, we have some situations where, it's an exchange and things like that. We have a lady that just contacted us that wants to volunteer that lives here in Houston. She just woke up. So, just.
I want to go back, if I may, before I forget it. You said a few things that really stood out to me, and the key things. One is that you felt that last year when you went to Arkansas, that you were opening something there. And then that this one, since you've been in Houston and have walked these streets, you felt that this December that you were closing something here in Houston. And then the following year, in April of 2024, Sology is having an event for the eclipse. And that's going to be in Arkansas. Am I correct?
Yeah. We were going to keep that a secret for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, we got to laugh. No, let's do that. Huh?
I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
That whatever you opened within Mulberry Mountain is preparing for your return in completeness for the April eclipse. Before you head there, you're doing some service work with many of us that are coming to see you in December, which will be closing out 2023 together. Energetically speaking, I can see when I zoom out the big picture here, what's really occurring.
Yeah.
And the importance of this event come December, and those who feel called to join and celebrate with us. And then just as important, the visit in April. And how this is all tied together. There's no mistakes here. It's all synchronicities. And the steps and the grid work that you're doing from your visit, which was your 12th visit to Sedona this year. This is some really powerful woo shit you're doing here.
I was just I was just thinking to myself, it's a powerful observations, and I believe, quite honestly, that you know, in the scheme of our perspective as it stands right now, this is the powerful data, you know, being anchored or being broadcast, really, of the feminine, of the divine feminine in all of us, is to actually, you know, say, hey, it doesn't run, you know, by all the patents and copyrights and inventions and the intellect. It runs with that masculine energy, but it runs with this guidance. So I think these types of things are what Sology has been a part with other energies of bringing out. So it's a powerful observation what you're making. And I can remember, you know, I kind of had, I guess you would say, two spirit walks. One was the first 2 years, literally, for a lot of that time, you know, for 2 years.
And was that in Houston?
Yeah, that was in Houston. And that was a very individualistic thing. It was in some levels, I would say, an embodiment. But I believe at that time, many people were going through that. I just decided to do it a little different. So there was a feeling that something bigger was happening and that I was part of it, biblical, whatever. You know how the early days of our wake up is. It's a very lonely world. Faith is a path of, you know, meager existence in terms of, like, you know, being able to talk to people. So that's one of the values of Sology, really. But what I find interesting now is that the 10-year period ended in December. March 1st, everything seemed to explode. And when I left in 2016 for what I would call the second spirit walk, I went to Arkansas. And I'd never been there before. Well, I'd been there for work, but I'd never been there. Like, it was just out of the blue. I just happened to somebody picked me up and took me there. 2 months later, I was in New York, and then I went to Connecticut, and then I went to many other places around the country, and I noticed that they were triangles.
Yeah.
You know, and went to Lemuria, went to Atlantis, you know, Hawaii, Florida, all in coinciding with the COVID creation. And so what I'm noticing now is, like, even in the moment, is we're in these situations where we're open channels, and there's open channels witnessing, which is important. I find that the information is coming in real time, and what I feel is that your observation, other people, you know, as I was saying earlier, feeling things, saying things, these children coming, which is so important. This is amazing to have these to have the sisters come out first. You know, 2012, Mama's Home, and watch that evolution over a few years as that feminine energy came out, represented through mostly sisters, and still leading the way, is one thing. To see the masculine come out in a linear scale quicker because of their work, and we're still finding out about that part of us, but it is the part of us that creates in the physical. And with, as we said, with your observation, as I said, the feminine instinct or intuition being applied to, you know, equally. That's the way I see it. And then people talk about the golden child, and we head into the Soloy Fest, and these children are coming. Amanda Bloodworth's 5-year-old rainbow child who sees a rainbow world on their little piece of land in Blanco, Texas. Pamela's daughter, Maddie, 9 years old. To this day, the most powerful soul I've ever had an experience with. She threw a love ball from her heart at me, and I felt it knock me out of my chair.
That's beautiful. No, I can testify to that. I can testify to that with my own granddaughter, because ever since she was a little girl, and not so much now, she used to draw pictures, but in rainbow. She would draw a line in one color and then continue the line in another color, and etc. And I've shared some of it on social media and different platforms, but she would just draw everything drop the pencil and pick up another color, because at that time, visually, she was drawing what probably she was seeing. And that was a rainbow figures. You know, they live perhaps in the rainbow realm. And so it's fascinating. And that is beautiful that we're going to have children there, because it will feel more balanced.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, you know, and to kind of connect it to the question for me, is the acknowledgement of that intelligence, if you will. You could call it women's intuition. You could call it, you know, we're all getting in touch with, you know, our multidimensionality and applying it. It's not lost on me that Sology has paralleled, as our lives parallel, what's going on. But I guess what I'm saying is I sit here 10 years later, literally, I walk in these streets these last few months, and it's like, you know what you were doing 10 years ago? That was when all that period was, right? And I see the same energies of, for all of us, of self-awareness and transformation and application. But back then we went against the grain, and the inverted, you know, distorted was working against us. Now it's not. And so this coming together in December, and I'm sure there'll be other places, but as I understand it, it's closing out this first leg of power in this new environment, basically to blossom in the spring. So kind of closing out 23 and opening the door for 24, like a ramp. And it feels to me like that same biblical, but this time I'm not out there alone by myself, and nobody else is either. We're all walking this soul highway, and things are about to get jiggy.
Yeah, they are. I love that word, jiggy. Well, and I really feel the balance and awareness and level of consciousness that we're moving to, not only collectively, but individually. And that speaks volumes as we move into the new year with new awarenesses, and how that everything that we create is created in a new format, new formula, new thought patterns. And it's all based on love, and it has, each creation has everyone in their thought form. So it has to benefit the all before it can be created. And I really know that Sology represents that. And I love that about you. I love the fact that you see everyone as equal. There is no, the year of the guru is over, that we are all stars, and that you welcome everyone at different stages of their ascension and awareness, because you understand the grand picture, how important everyone is to this story. As is I see it in the animal kingdom when I watch nature shows. Whenever they're saying that an animal is going, you know, dying off in big groups, everybody's concerned, because they know it's going to affect the whole, and how we got to keep everything cohesive and running completely. And the same works for the human species. I'm sure that it affects the whole, one way or another. Right before I jumped on the show, my friend asked me if you and I have ever spoke about politics. And I said, well, I'm getting ready for my show. I have a feeling that I know Todd's view on politics, but do you have an opinion on where future politics is going to go as we move into 2024?
I don't believe that the world that I'm going to live in, that I'm living in, the trajectory of it, that I know I feel like I share with many, many others, maybe not on this specific question, maybe we have different perspectives or perceptions, but what we know as politics is won't be here. And I believe that there's a natural progression of that third energy. We can call it the mother returning. We can call it third golden child collaboration where two more gather, but I believe it's too strong of a force. It's already deconstructing or really transforming. So I feel that it'll be something that others have talked about. I didn't know how it would happen before, but I believe it'll be by councils, by cells of people. And you can say, for instance, there's 10,000 Sologies all over the world. We're already moving a direction of being regulated or maintained and operated by councils. You had asked me something earlier, like where do you see Sology going? I see it going to a point, and I believe next year will be a big year. I believe we'll see some really big things. Our community go from 3, 4, 5 to 10,000 people, which isn't really the point at this moment. But the point is that to get it to a point where I'm a piece of the puzzle, where I'm not doing everything, I'm doing those things or that thing or whatever it is that I truly want to do in that moment. For instance, like write new music and perform it, something like that.
Right, to have time to use some of your creative expressions, to have some joy and balance in your life.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I just wanted to go back to politics just for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as I understand things, Todd, that there's light workers in all communities, in all jobs in the world, may it be nurses, doctors, veterinarians, lawyers, attorneys, military, and politicians.
Yeah.
That God's plan is perfect, and that we are all positioned in the right place at the right time for all things to align and unfold with grace and ease. I do have faith in that, from my perspective, that we're all located all over the world with different roles. Like, excuse me, like your role, my role, and moving forward, what my role will be. And I'm sure that it'll be more expanded and encompass more, and so will yours, but we'll have more balance. And we can create from a place of being instead of doing from now on. I think we only have like 20 minutes left. I'm just checking the time. I get so nervous.
Let me say something to that. When I graduated high school, there was my best friend. His parents were Sacred Union Frequency, and there was just I had a soul recognition with him. And his father told me when I graduated high school, he pulled me to the side and he said, wherever you go, college, the workplace, church, organizations, I didn't put it in the multidimensional perspective at the time, but to your point, it can go all the way, is that you'll see the same thing everywhere. You'll see the same number of these and the same number of those and the same number of these.
Yeah.
So my feeling on politics and church and anything, some of these arenas or some of these energies have been deeply rooted with, premeditation, and they may be things that take longer to unravel and the people involved with it, but I'm sure there's people in there that are becoming more and more intuitive and more confident in what they're doing. And just like all of us, if you look at all the stories on Soul Speaks 5D in our lives, we all get to this point more than once of saying enough is enough. And so I see that. I used to ask Franco about this. How do you think this is going to happen? Like the medical industry, like. And I never really got a full answer, but what I kind of understood was that people are literally going to be going about their task, which we've all done that unconsciously, and then go, snap, wait a minute, I'm not doing this anymore. and it becomes more frequent. And because of those little power surges, because we know one soul enlightened can shine light on thousands, right? Then it's a lends to a quicker transformation than I think any of us thought. So I just wanted to say that.
No, that's perfect. That's a perfect answer. And just like religion, and I spoke about this with Jimmy Fasick when I had him on my show, that religion, the health department, all these things are being rewritten and rewired. Because as we raise our frequency, there's a lot of people think we're just gonna jump into something else, or that there's a split in the earth, and then there's an earth here and an earth here. And how I understand it is it's occurring vibrationally. And then as we move up in vibration, that is already, because everything's happening simultaneously. So this earth here is already fifth dimensional or higher, is already moving along. And those of us coming through one at a time come there. Some of these systems already are in place. Is how I see it, that's what the ease and grace means. That it just happens naturally and organically as we do a merge, per se, with a higher consciousness or vibration.
Yeah.
That perhaps the things that we understand here in this now moment, we won't have those questions in a higher vibration because they don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how it all works. I always see the analogy for so many times when you get to a higher vantage point and you reassess, and and everything just keeps continuing, the spiraling and all that goes with it, faster and faster. Like a bathtub when you let the water out, and you get to the end and it starts to make that sucking sound, and it moves faster and faster and faster, and it is a spiral. I feel like that whatever we've set up here in this, if you want to call it a simulation or a construct, a place for the soul to grow and for the universe to have new experiences, because that in itself is new birth, is that we get opportunities again and again and again, and sometimes they're really big opportunities to elevate with this high frequency of this vast, comprehensive amount of coding or wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, and to apply it, because we're moving, our ability to take it in and process it and put it into form is equally as fast and accelerating. So I feel like that this is where we're at. And I think it was, you sent me this Lauren Gorgio, I think a couple of days ago. And I don't remember what the whole thing said, but I just remember one part where she said the most, and these will be my words because I don't remember hers, but the way I took it in, which I'm grateful for. She said, and all this there going on, people talk about the energies and this and that, and she's very good at it from what I've seen. But she said it comes down to the mundane human. And that really hit home for me, because it's in these, these thoughts and words and actions. That's my new favorite Holy Trinity: thoughts, words, and actions. That I've always tried to equate everything on the show when people come in with their wisdom and their coding, to restate it in a way that is most effective to the human consciousness, to the one that says, beam me up, get me the fuck out of here, to the one that stands in grace and purity tears. And I feel like that, thoughts, words, and action, that Trinity is kind of like my steering wheel now. And I'm looking at it. I'm not saying I'm going to adopt it, and I'm not saying this is the new way to go. There's no dogma at Sology, but it's just Todd. You asked me in the beginning, who is Todd? Todd's learning just like everybody else. and understands that, you know, I love this quote. I'm not judged, not that we judge, but you get what I'm going to say. I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed, which is in direct proportion to the number of times I try. Well, that's what a soul does. We have respite, we take breaks, and then we say, what do I want to do now? And we don't go out there to you know, have everything soft and go our way all the time. This is an incredible creation, Mother Earth. It's got some kind of huge universal impact that other planetary energies don't. It's kind of a mix of all of them. And it's been a hell of a ride. I don't know how it's going to end. But like I've been saying lately, we're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to get closer and closer. We're going to be going, hey, whoa, let's stay here a little bit longer, because this world's a whole different place with what we're taking in. And
there's also that saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about enjoying the now. Why can't we celebrate now? Why can't the light be here and not at the end of the tunnel? What can we do to bring the light into this moment? Not necessarily this moment that I'm talking about with you. I just mean in general conversation. Why is it at the end of the tunnel? Why can't we have it here, present in our lives now? What's it going to take for us to do it now? Right. It's really up to us. I feel like more than ever, there is no more waiting. We're waiting for us to show up.
Yeah. The mundane.
To dust the dust off. You know, let's go.
Well, the light at the end of the tunnel was the light that we came from. You could think of it like the Akash. So if you think about our traumas,
I understand what you meant.
Yeah, I know you did. But no, I know you did. What I'm saying is, though, it's funny. I look at it, and it was a perfect, segue. So what's in the middle? So, and okay, if you look at trauma, which has been a big part of our huge part, what is trauma but the most, exponentialized egoic experience, or whatever you want to call it? Even if we want to tie it to ancestral, this is still the earth story, or this container story, or something. The light is on the other side, each side. So what is how does the trauma hurt our multidimensionality or our light? It doesn't touch it. It only impedes us. So this is where I see the great universal paradox, the great laugh. We're gods laughing, gods and goddesses laughing, because we're figuring it out. The kids figuring it out, right? And that is to realize that it's the human journey is the only thing affected. And then when we overcome these things that we thought were real, the human journey becomes that light that you're speaking of, right? And anything goes. I mean, I've had significant lucid dreams over the years of supernatural abilities on the earth, parallel, whatever you want to call it. And those were timelines collapsed. And that included teleportation and other magical things. So I know that we're in a space now where we are going to see these things, and it will change the world. And it does come from the heart, and it does come from being fully embodied without the doubts, without the effect of the programming or the old matrix, you might say.
Do you feel at the end of Authenticity, this show, that people who are watching understand who Todd is?
I hope.
I know the Todd that they hear, because you're on your shows and you do your daily shows and interviews. But the question at the beginning of the show is, who is Todd? I know that you're a dad. I know that you're a son, and I know that you're a man. I know that you are a husband and have been a husband. And I know that you've been a working man in the corporate world. I know that you love music. I know that you love to sing. I know that you love to write. And I know that you like to get on camera and talk and speak the truth.
Mm.
What else don't we know?
All of that resonated. The last part I had to kind of think about because I haven't been on as much lately. I guess the only way I can really answer this question is to speak of the present and the recent past. And so, as the producers came on a couple of months ago, my time on the air kind of slowed down, and so I guess it was really the first time for an extended period of time, especially where I was doing other things at full throttle. So I have had time to sit with it. I do miss it. I do feel like I would like to come less is more, and I'd like to maybe not do the quantity, the 50, 60 shows a month, but do, maybe 6 or 8, and have them run longer, as I started doing at the end, and really have a deep conversation and see where it goes, and of course play with other things. But as I say this, I would tell you that these last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months have been deep and honest, and it brings back to mind what happened when I went on the street, and what I think a lot of people can relate to. When I went on the street by my own choice, I knew my truth, and I knew the universe knew my truth, and that's all that mattered. And it was important because nobody else had a clue. And I feel that way now. And I feel like I'm finding that same space now, and I feel like other people are too. And that's something that feels good, and that feels right. But the power and the strength and the ignition comes from the mundane human. And that's, as I sit here, on the verge of tears, like, I trust the mother.
Yeah.
I trust her. And because I am her.
Yes.
It's like that old saying, what would Jesus do? WWJD. Well, it's just an acronym for the bottom line of it all.
I missed something, Todd. I forgot, and all those things I listed about you. You're Sology as well, and I know that Sology is made up of many, many, many souls. But Sology founder and CEO, I would say, that we used to use in other terms, is Todd, and it is a part of you. We are your family. We are your community. And I am so excited to collaborate and co-create in the new with many souls, including yourself, as we move forward. I'm looking forward to coming down in December and spending some more time with you and the Soul Tribe and celebrating life, about that light I was telling you about, that we could celebrate it now, live in this joy now.
Yeah. True. Exactly. That's exactly right. It truly is. And that's really it. I love Joseph Campbell, and he says, eternity is not, obviously not the past. It's not tomorrow. It's not some other place or some other time. It's here and now. And if you don't get it here, you're not going to get it anywhere. So I remind myself of this all the time. I'm not perfect 24 hours a day, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And
A lot.
so I find myself, like right now, very nervous. I can feel the energy inside of me. I can feel my soul rising. I can feel my heart rising. I can feel things breaking away. I can feel power streaming. I can see things, whatever. But it's the mundane human that must be present to get the highest potential in a given moment. And there's a certain energy about it that we might say is excited or nervous or whatever, but that's becoming an easier and easier fear to walk through. And for me, what that translates to is all the things that you said, and all the things most important that I know of myself, in myself, that this little queasy feeling keeps coming up and the tears are right there, and then you just push through. And then people see it. So for me today, the big download, and that we can end it this way, the final download came in is, you know your truth, the universe knows your truth. Be it. And if you be it, you don't have to say it.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that everyone watching had a chance to get to know you a little bit better.
Me too.
We all love you. We thank you. We'll see you next time on Authenticity, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks, Tom.